All right, what's happening? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back. Clearly, this is not the norm right now. This is the craziness. Thankfully, thank the Lord, whatever God you pray to, I don't care. Thank that being that we have Brad Thomas on set ready to step in because my power is out. A tree fell down and knocked over everything. Eli is hallucinating right now. He's so sick. So here comes Brad, Mr. BLT, ready to save the day. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, dude, man, listen. When I get the call, I'm like Batman. You throw up a little bat signal, I come running in. I'm down here in Miami vacationing, throwing dice, pulling slot machines, but I had to take the time out to talk with you guys.
That's amazing, man. Stepping away from your vacation, my goodness. I can't say that I would do the same for Eli. For you, I will. Now I'm bound. You've done this for me, brother, so I am bound. I'll step away from probably everything but a funeral at this point to step in with you. But with Eli, it's just, I don't know if I could say I could make the same commitment, man. He's out sick, so we'll have some fun. I am curious, though, what's the first thing you do? All right, you walk in, you've checked in, you're ready to go.
Oh.
What's the first thing you do when you hit? If it's the tables, the dice, do you get a drink? Like, do you go? What's your method when you hit the casino?
All right, so hopefully no casinos are listening, but the first thing I do, because I don't go to the bar, I'm going to have a White Claw or a High Noon in my back pocket. I'm going to
Gotcha.
go to like the outer ring of the casino and find a slot machine that I like that's near an exit or near a bathroom, and I'll put 20 in there and play a little aggressive. That's just to start the party off. Like, we don't even need to check in. We don't even need to put our bags down. I'm the dude with the 2 bags next to his chair, just putting the 20 in to see if we get a little early luck. And that starts the roller coaster. I mean, if we get a hand pay or something on that first machine off of 20,
Yep.
Oh man, the bags are going straight to the bell desk. We're gonna check in later, and we're gonna ride this wave. I might even bounce around. Like if I have a little success there, I'll go and I'll play some craps. But if the craps table's too busy or it's super dead, I don't like either. I'll go and play a little hold'em bonus. And man, that could get really, really interesting if you start getting a bunch of full houses and straights.
That's aggressive. Absolutely. You can turn something quick into that and then just set
Yeah.
the tone for the rest of the time that you're there, which is a beautiful thing. I love that, man. You just come smashing, swing, first pitch right away. Hope that sucker just leaves the park.
Oh yeah, man. I don't even need a breakfast ball. I come ready.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, man. So there's no real form or structure. We've tried and all, but we kind of bounce around a little bit. Straight will pop up Odd Shopper at some point, and we'll show some people what we can take advantage of. Maybe build a parlay on Odd Shopper there as well. We've got the NBA and the NFL. Those are the two big things clearly on our respective minds here. NFL playoffs are this weekend. NBA is tonight. We actually have a pretty juicy slate. Where do you want to start? I'll leave it up to you. You're the one on stepping
Let's
away from beautiful Miami. I'm still in cold, miserable Philadelphia. So you make
let's
the
start
choice.
in let's start in the NBA.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now I know you were talking about this off the air as far as a little bit of your process, and there are a couple of pretty big matchups, and maybe it's just something that you found. If it's a big matchup or a big team matchup, individual player, what have you. So why don't you start with and kind of go from where you think is maybe some best value that you have, Brad?
Yeah, so like a lot of people who follow me or don't, I'm a big matchup guy, milestone guy. I don't
Nice.
care, really don't care too often how a guy has done in his last 5. And that'll start with my favorite play on the board. It's Kyle Kuzma. So let's go to that game. We're going to talk about the Pacers, the Wizards at the Pacers. I'm taking Kyle Kuzma over 23.5 points here. If you're the guy who's on props.cash, and I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, and you look at his past performance, you're like, dude, why are you taking this? Kyle Kuzma, I think he's like 2 for 5 in his last 5 hitting this number. But you have to look at the last 3 teams he's played inside those. He's played against the Magic, who basically limit or isolate those big guys. He played the Cavaliers twice, and we already know what they do with the size in the middle right there. Now he's playing against a Pacers team who pretty much just gifts points to the small forward, power forward positions here, and a Pacers team who I would not be on this line if Halliburton was healthy, because I think the Pacers could be one of those at-home games where they are up by 30 by the first half. But now with a little bit of, I think some of the blowout potential taken away out of this matchup, it not only allows me to bet him with confidence, it allows me to play him up to 30. And I was talking to Straight about this. My milestones, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to take a guy 25 plus for plus 150. That is not how I'm going to make my money. I'm going to make it if Kyle Kuzma goes up to the plus, the 30 plus, because he has that potential there. And then want to talk about pace. This is another great pace game, another great matchup. The top two teams in pace in the NBA, and the Wizards and the Pacers. This game could go absolutely nuts. We just need to make sure it's one of those where the flow of the game is still the same without Halliburton. Obviously, it's going to change a little. But I think Halliburton being out definitely helps me without the blowout potential there.
Yeah, man, I love this here. 25 and 31, I see last time that he hit against the Pacers. So already just the usage was there. And, here's the thing too, right? First off, I let me preface this. I agree with you where I don't think the blowout potential is as valid here, and it's not going to be, especially with the pacing. But even if Indy does blow out Washington, Wizards still going to put up $115, $118, right?
Yep.
Like that's the difference, I think, when you get blown out by the Pacers versus a team, Houston or squad that's going to slow everything down. So yeah, I'm with you, man. This is a great find. I wonder if you could do something with Poole in that game, but no, absolutely Kuz staying there. And looking at this side, I actually am waiting to see if this goes. It's dropped from 8.5 to 7.5. I do wonder if I can get this down to 7, kind of sit on that key number. Probably won't be bet through, but I mean, maybe people continue to look at this and say, yeah, no Halliburton, no Halliburton. That's something that worked last year, starting to kind of pick up with this again, just kind of reverse line against injury. Where it's just picking up, right? Yep, picking up. Oh, they can't do anything. Halliburton, Washington, they're sleeping. They're going to, all right, all of a sudden, Indy pulls away. They win by 12 or so. So I think I'm going to look at that as far as, Pacers. If I can get it down to 7, for sure. Last I saw, I think it was 7.5. Again,
I actually do think you're going to get through that number. And it even happened, as a good example, even happened last night with the Mavs. I took Grizzlies, and then I ended up trying to take the comeback around and take Mavs money line. So I didn't end up getting the middle, but Grizzlies covered and ended up winning the game by 15 plus.
Yep, absolutely, man. It's amazing, right? How that flips, and all because people see the Ja news and oh no, this team's cooked and all. It's like, all right, man, the guy played 9 games. It's not like this is the first time without him, right? This year, there's something to that. I see it now. Odd Shopper, I'm just looking on here. 7.5 MGM DK Caesars. But yeah, I mean, it's dropping from 8. So from 8.5 to 8, 7.5, that would be a beauty. So there are 2 games that I was going to try to get your thoughts on. I know you have another player too, especially curious to see where we're going with milestones here. Love that strategy. But let's start here, not technically here, but with Philly in Atlanta. It doesn't look right. Embiid out again and just continuing to rest and knowing that this team is night and day different without Joel. I get that. But I also don't think it's as bad as we've seen at times. And everybody rested against Utah with the intent of playing against Atlanta, or at least most people, right, coming back and playing with Atlanta. Right now, I just see Melton and Cove, pardon me, on that list outside of Embiid. So Tyrese, Kirk, all these guys are going to be out there. Tobias, right? With that said, I think this is essentially a pick'em for a better basketball team, granted without Joel Embiid, but this is the type of game where I think the Sixers can win only in the sense of we've seen them perform at a higher level than they play without Embiid, pacing, scoring, kind of getting Maxey worked in. This is essentially, we're given a pick 'em here based on this line, even at 1.5 where you see. So that was the one I wanted to bounce off you, knowing that we're not going to get Embiid here.
Yeah, no, I like this one. And we also have to remember the 76ers are off back-to-back losses. And
correct.
A lot of people I know who are all about the injured star theory were on the 76ers against the Jazz, but I think they were just a little too depleted against the Jazz. It was not a great spot, especially on the back half of a back-to-back. Now, they get, what did we have, 3 days rest here, playing against the Atlanta Hawks. I like it here. I'm also haven't been high on the Atlanta Hawks yet, especially now we are talking about the DeJounte Murray news of him possibly, being flirted out back to San Antonio. Anytime that one of your star players they have that conversation, I get a little weary of it. And I'm going to bring it to another team where we started to hear the OG Anunoby or Pascal Siakam is going to kind of be flirted around with the Raptors. And then they kind of struggled when that news initially came out before they ultimately traded away OG Anunoby. I think a lot of that, whether the team is, been together forever or they're a new team come together, that psychology, that mentality is always tough to get through. And then when you're a middling team like the Atlanta Hawks against a far superior team of the 76ers, I think even without Joel Embiid, there's a good upset potential here by the Sixers.
Yeah, I'm trying to identify, maybe it's Tobias, although he's let me down so much, right? Like there's somebody, he's on a quasi ban list. He's on like a can't quit you list. Do you have that one of those where it's like you ban him, but then he's back, you ban him, and it's back? It's like a high school relationship,
I don't have one currently, but I'm the kind of guy who's like this. I look at my matchups and like I don't look at players at all. I just look at situations and positions. And then when I get to see what player is going to line up with that, I'm like, oh, man, this guy. One guy who I've been struggling with has been Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs, because, dude, I don't get it. Like, I'm a Magic fan, so if I should preface that. Jalen Suggs should be averaging 23 minimum a game, right? Especially with how banged up they are right now. They'll go out there and have games where he's taking 6 shots, and Paolo Banchero's taking 30 shots. Like, the Magic are winning, so it's hard to complain. But, I mean, when he's in a good, delicious spot, I'm like, this dude's going to get at least 4 or 5 3-point attempts. And I go bet his over is set at 14.5 or 15.5, and he doesn't cover. I'm just like, this is disgusting.
It's terrible. Terrible feeling, isn't that? Gut-wrenching. And you keep going back, right?
Yeah.
You keep going back.
You have to go back.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's like I'm watching this team like you're watching Orlando, and it's like it makes sense that it should execute. It should go out there, and no, absolutely, man. All right, so we'll keep it moving here in the NBA. Again, thank you all for joining us. Brad's on Twitter at Mr. Brad Thomas. I'm at Shander Show, so we appreciate you rolling. In general, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and also head on over to goldboys.com. Make sure you're following everybody there, all the cappers, including Brad, who is dropping. I always see you earlier dropping some soccer stuff, man. You are heavy in those streets, man. Heavy.
Dude, that's the second sport that I started when I started doing this, professionally, was soccer. And I didn't even listen. I don't know if a lot of people know this. I never played soccer. I didn't start watching soccer until I got to college, freshman year. And then my roommate, big soccer dude, every morning before we go to I'm in Florida, so every morning before we go to the beach, we'd watch soccer, and I got hooked, got absolutely obsessed with it, and then started capping it. And so that's pretty much, I'm obsessed with soccer, if anybody will ask you.
No, man, I love it. We got a couple of guys on our side too, like Ben Raza and just soccer heads, man. So I'll bet it with him, right? Because he'll throw me a bone and be like, "Yo, man, Madrid," or whatever it is. Just throw me, and I start watching the game, and it's just the most ridiculous shit that happens to and again, I don't know what the comparison would be, right? Like airballing 2 free throws or something along those lines in a meaningful spot. But I'm just like, how can you continue to bet this? And then I go on and bet the NFL like an idiot anyway. So who knows?
No, betting soccer will make you go gray real quick.
Right.
I said good comparison is like it's 4th and 5 and the guy steps out 1 yard short, but he has a clear field to pass the first down mark. They didn't want to get hit or something.
Yes. I love that one better. Right. And you're just sitting there like, serious? It's the meme where you're just sitting there like no expression, just looking at the camera.
Yep.
Like, really? That just happened? Oh, my goodness. All right. So, again, anything else you have? I was interested. I didn't have anything from a player standpoint, and this is kind of really where I'm looking at a little bit more with total and side here, trying to find if there's anything on the back-to-back you mentioned there with Minnesota. So Minnesota's in Boston, and, clearly looking at this total in that mid to low 220s, feels like Minnesota's in a good spot, coming off that win. Orlando, I'm sorry to bring that up. I apologize. But
yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I just meant like looking forward. We don't even have to mention that game, Brad. How about that? All right. We don't have to mention that game. But they come off a win. It doesn't matter who they beat, but they come off a win last night. And, that total sitting at 222.5. And I get it, like the Wolves and where they are and pacing and whatnot. And I just feel like Boston has a better chance of trying to run them out, and that can actually lead to a little bit more Pacers points, assuming that I'm not missing anything with an injury here. So that was one I was looking at as well, was going over that kind of lower. It's not at 221, which is ideal, but still, what is anymore in this league with totals at 160 or 260?
Yes. So you're looking at under, right? Or are you looking at over?
I was actually looking at going over 222.5 on MGM.
Oh, and your
No.
reasoning
Look.
was because
If you don't like
no,
it,
no, I'm
you
not
let me
saying
know. Please.
no. I'm not saying I dislike it or like it. I'm trying to correlate it with what I think is going to happen in the game.
Gotcha.
I have Celtics blowout here, but
Interesting.
I probably, yeah. I don't know if I could play the 9 that's sitting out for the Celtics right now. I know it just feels like one of those spots, like kind of a massive letdown with Minnesota basically having a day off against the Magic yesterday. Now they travel from Orlando up to Boston overnight here. I just don't know what I picture for a blowout points wise for Minnesota. Like I know Celtics get theirs. I think Celtics get theirs. Even how elite Minnesota has been. 222.
Yeah, that's a big number at 9. You can get 8.5, but
Let me see what I'm predicting. I think I could see it because I think the Celtics cover their team total, but I don't think they hold Minnesota under theirs.
Which is what? I'm just curious. The spread score is what, 8.5? I guess we could just figure out the spread score too.
Yeah, Minnesota's is 107. Because I think I have Minnesota like closer to the 109.
I was going to say, you get me 110, that clears.
Yeah, 109. And then I have Celtics. Yeah, I would play the over. I have Celtics. Celtics pretty close on theirs.
I like
Celtics
it.
is 117. I have Celtics pretty close to theirs. I think maybe 8-point victory is like what I would consider a fair line.
Gotcha.
But blowout potential pretty high.
Do you have anything in that game?
No. I do, but I don't have a shot for it because I don't like giving out these kind of plays on live stream because a lot of people don't understand them. But I did take Celtics -5.5 parlayed with Liverpool over 1.5 goals in their cup match today against Fulham.
Gotcha.
So basically, it's getting me underneath my fair line of 8 for the Celtics there, all the way down to 5.5. And for those who don't know, I'm in Florida, so I don't have that many options in terms of
Hard Rock, right?
Yeah, and so I couldn't get a 6.5. I could only get a 5.5. And then Liverpool versus Fulham, over 1.5 goals is hit in like every match that they've played in the past 5 or 6 years. Liverpool, best attack in the entire world of football, and they get this at home where they've been absolutely dominant in scoring 2+ goals at Anfield.
Okay, is that an alt total?
Alt total. Oh, it's like -400 or something.
Okay, got you. So I'm just curious, what's the payout that you get on that?
-125, -120.
Oh, nice. That's good. I like that for that. Absolutely. I mean, that 5.5 is tight, man, on that Boston. It would take a shit ton to go wrong for that to not cover, I would think.
Yeah, 5.5 is I think 6 is like a really good home winning number. Like the winning team win by 6 or more. And what's annoying though, like I told you, like milestones, alt lines and stuff, like when a team is a 9-point favorite, like you really can't play any alt lines. Like
yeah.
It's kind of frustrating. I did want to possibly go with Jaylen Brown points and rebounds again. Okay. I know Tatum's back in the lineup. It kind of makes that number go down a little bit, but he's one of those guys who has the potential to not only just get it with rebounds. I mean, get it with points, but then you throw in the rebounds and you're like, wow, I just got a freebie because now he cleared this line with just his points.
It's amazing, man. So that's Brown points and rebounds?
Yeah, I didn't end up taking it.
Gotcha.
Just I think it's a blowout. I don't want to get kind of like that back end star sitting.
Yeah, we were cashing Brown's turnovers a lot last year going over that. And it's something that kind of caught up a little bit. The numbers started to adjust a little bit. So I need to go back, and I took like a couple of days off on that. But yeah, that was a smaller market that we were having some fun with just because, like, you pop on DK, it was like over 1.5, -110, and it wouldn't adjust. He'd turn the ball over 3 times consistently and just wouldn't adjust. But he has the ball in his hands, so much. So
yeah. And he's terrible dribbling with his left hand too, so.
Yeetus, I'm new to this and I don't watch sports. I need pointers and info. If you don't mind, give me some advice. Well, hopefully that question's to Brad because you don't want any advice or pointers from me. You got to give us a little more specific, man. Like, what are you interested in betting? Do you want to bet the NFL? Are you mad that you took Washington plus 4.5? Or like, give us something, and we will fill in the blanks. I promise.
Yes, absolutely.
What else do you have in the NBA before we hit some NFL?
Yeah, let me get one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
This one is really wild. Jalen Williams over 21 and a half points and assists. That's Thunder at Heat.
Yeah.
And if you are a guy who uses some of the tools like Eli, DG Analytics, for anybody who's wondering, give him a plug here since he's sick. You're gonna have to make sure you separate the difference between a team throughout the entire season or a team last 30, last 45, whatever tool you're using. Last 45, this matchup, or last 30 if you're using Eli's tool, this matchup is absolutely delicious. Not only is Jalen Williams himself clearing this number close to just with points, averaging close to 20 points per game over his last whatever amount. He's in a really advantageous matchup where it's one of the most funneled positions by the Heat. And what I mean by funneled positions is if you're looking at the small forward or shooting guard position, specifically shooting guard, they're the ones who are going to do most of the damage, especially against a team like that has a player like SGA. They're going to want to eliminate SGA and make him the non-factor. What happens? What does that mean? Ball's going to be in Jalen Williams' hands a lot more than it normally would. Why is that important? Because we're taking points and assists. So now he has the ability to score points, but also has the ability to dish it if the pressure collapses on him. Now, the alt line. How do you play this alt line, Brad? No, you cannot take 30 points and assists. That is a horrible line for a horrible price. I think it's like plus 180 or plus 175.
That's it? Wow.
It's awful. So, I don't know if I said this straight. Hopefully I did. It's Jalen Williams, 35 plus points, rebounds, and assists.
There you go.
On DK at plus 450. So basically you're taking that original line of the 30 plus for his alt line for points and assists. You're adding rebounds. He averages close to 5 rebounds per game. But if he's having a nutso game, like if he's having one of those berserk games where he's scoring 25 points, 5 dimes, and 5 assists, and 5 dimes and 5 boards, you're already flirting with this number right here, and you're getting literally over $2 of extra value. That's how you attack this line. You kind of add a little bit extra there. You want to talk about rebounding?
I love that.
Love that. When I said it's a funnel, you're going to have to imagine the rebounding numbers are going to be there too. I think this is a good spot for it. You're getting $2 extra. I mean, how much do I have to twist someone's arm to say the difference between 30 plus for points and assists versus 35 plus points, rebounds, assists for a guy who averages, I think it's 4.6 rebounds per game, is $2.50. I don't think I have to do much convincing.
No. And I think you said nutso game, right? That was the phrase.
Yes.
I wanted to paraphrase.
Yeah.
I wanted to get you, because here's the thing. If he has a nutso game and you only bet that first alt line, A, you're not getting anywhere near the return for him going nuts. And B, you've left yourself short. And you can see that with this play right here. So I think it's fantastic. Multiple levels attacking that. I got to make sure that I tail that right now since I'm out here in the car.
That's on DK. If anybody who asks my unit breakdowns, like 90% of the time, I'm putting a unit on everything. Like
there you go.
I'm just like I'm a guy who loves betting on horses. You're not going to take the long shot and put 10 cents on the long shot on a horse because it's so hard to hit the long shots. You want to get paid in full. So I put it. Yep. Yes, I did put a unit on that outline for anybody wondering.
All right, let's hit the NFL, man. On the way out of here, I got a couple of things I want to throw at you. And the beauty about this sport, even more so than college, because of the talent gaps and everything, is that none of this shit matters, right? Like it's the NFL, and it's so much can go into it and I love it because all of it does matter, but at the end, none of it does, right? Like your work, your efforts, and numbers, and theory, and narrative, and all of that. But ultimately, it's the NFL, and nothing can be controlled similar to other sports, even that we just talked about, especially like the NBA. So, do you have an upset that you have? And if you don't, that's fine. I'm not going to say like, give me an upset. I'm just curious. Like, do you have an outright money line upset that you have placed so far in Wild Card Weekend?
I do. I don't know if you're going to like it, man.
No. Because if it's Tampa plus 135, I'm giving you a virtual hug, my brother.
Yes, it is the Bucks. It is the Bucks. Plus 135 there. And Dude, listen, like I had a feeling you were going to ask me a question like this, so I tried to think of what I was going to say, where people think that I'm some kind of homer. Listen, I don't homer my teams. Like I my wallet has no loyalty.
Right.
But I think that people are going to see this line and they're going to be like, what? The Buccaneers, and I think I've had people text me this, the Buccaneers only scored 9 points against the Carolina Panthers. Do you want to know what's funny about the Buccaneers only scoring 9 points against the Carolina Panthers? Not only was Baker Mayfield playing with rib injury, he gets an extra week to kind of heal that up. The Carolina Panthers have a better ranked defense than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Not to mention, they're also playing in Carolina. Now they're playing in Tampa Bay at home, sellout crowd against the 20 ballpark. So let's go 28th ranked defense and defensive DVOA against the Eagles. And what's more important, where Tampa Bay has struggled against teams, has not been in the run game like people think, right? When they've struggled against teams, yes, sure, the run game has not gotten going, but it's because the pass game has struggled so much where all they have to do is load the box. The Eagles can't load the box against Tampa Bay because their secondary has been so awful. I think that makes it easier for Baker Mayfield, and I think it makes it easier for this number that we're going to play.
Yeah, I can't add anything more from an analytical standpoint, except add some context here, which is, and I was just talking about this locally here yesterday on Fox, where it was just like, man, and I know you do great work at NBC. Let's plug everything here, please. But, oh, Brad blacked out, you know? Oh, okay. Okay, good. You missed my plug. I was plugging you at NBC, man. Damn. So now I'm just going to keep going straight. Okay, there we go. Okay. But no, point being is that from a context standpoint, this team is fragmented. This team is shaken. This team is trying to convince themselves. Like, Philadelphia has a reputation for media and fan, and a lot of that is earned. I get it. And we're hard. We're difficult. We're hard-headed. We're idiots at times. And, we can be loud and obnoxious and ignorant. I get it, right? Textbook ignorant. I don't mean like now ignorant, saying stupid shit. I just mean like, definition ignorant. But point being is, they're not even trying to convince us, Brad. Like, nobody's saying like, hey, you all out there, you're going to see. This is more about like trying to preempt and saying, no, we're fine. We're fine.
Yes.
We're fine. Like when the voice gets higher, no, man,
Yep.
we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly like that.
You ain't fine.
It reminds me too of when the Eagles came and played in Tampa Bay last time, where like Tampa Bay was kind of, wishy-washy. They had that stretch in the season where they were so hot, then they sucked, and then they started to win again. They're like, we don't know what's going to happen. And the Eagles came in, and a lot of people started saying, well, it's Tampa Bay's going through all this, blah, blah, blah. And they think that the Eagles are going to just miraculously get over their issues. And Tampa Bay ended up winning that game.
That's amazing, man. I think you're going to see ups and downs, but ultimately the Eagles, their pass defense, the Sean Desai, Matt Patricia, it doesn't matter. You talked about it. Mike Evans should have himself a day. That's the biggest reasons that you laid out. I'm going to throw a theory out here for you. All right. Cash 2 years ago with Joe Mixon, Cash last year with Christian McCaffrey. We did this on the Odd Shopper Discord. So I wanted to bring it up with you today. It's the playoff leader in rushing yards. And this is my two-step criteria that I apply, at least have applied the last 2 years. I need a selfish running back. I need somebody who's not willing to give up carries. I need somebody who takes the majority of the workload and is not splitting carries, even if that split is with a quarterback, right? So I need somebody who, even if their offense, because it's the NFL, I get it, doesn't necessarily, ideally it would be a run-first offense, but I don't know if you're going to find this in here. But my point being is I need somebody who carries the majority of the workload and has the capability of taking over. Also, I need, in combination, I need a wild card team. I need 3 games. I need, if I can get to the Super Bowl, that's a bonus. But if you get me 3 games, a team in the wild card round that can get me 3 games. So I took a shot, and look, the first one was based on the fact that they are going to make it back to at least the AFC Conference Championship, possibly get volume with them returning to the Super Bowl. But Isaiah Pacheco was 18-1, and I took a shot at him, right? So
I like that a lot.
He's now dipped a little bit. I'm going to give you another one that I jumped on because I actually took the Rams at 66-1 to win before week 18 because they were number 1 in combined EPA. And I thought, all right, you beat the Niners, that's going to dip. You get out of Detroit with the win, that's going to dip. So Kyron Williams is 13-1. Now, granted, I'd like LA to run a little more, Brad, but at the same time, Williams has the potential in 3 games to have some big plays and gain some chunk yards. The last guy I looked at was only plus 750, but it's all the same criteria here, and that's just Tony Pollard and riding Dallas to a Super Bowl appearance.
I like my favorite out of those is obviously Pacheco, especially the game script that Pacheco is going to have in game 1. If the wind and the weather is going to be that bad, I think it's going to be a 25-plus carry night for Pacheco. And then I really did, and I liked what you said about Kyron Williams, especially with his first game being indoors on a fast field. The Rams, offensively, how they play is like they want to play with speed. But when I mean play with speed, that's not necessarily like tempo of how many plays they get in.
Right.
But the plays that they're calling are fast plays, plays that get the ball in the receiver's hands pretty quickly or the running back's hands pretty quickly. Not a lot of, or get them in space, basically. So not a lot of dive plays, basically. And I don't think Kyron Williams is the kind of guy who's running freaking halfback dives, 6 times in the game, which helps you because that means 6 carries, you're getting stretch, you're getting reads, which helps a lot more when you're doing zone blocking, gives you opportunity to break bigger runs.
Absolutely, man. Look, if I lose to Lamar or Christian McCaffrey on 2 games, so be it, right? I'll chalk that sucker up. All right, brother. Look, this has been a blast. Do you have anything else you want to get out? NFL, any soccer, anything at all? It's your world. If you want to keep it and you want to tease for the Discord or tease for Twitter, that's fine as well.
My mom made a quick appearance on the show. I think she forgot. I want to. Okay, so Burnley plays Luton Town this weekend in the EPL. I have my show tomorrow for BetUS. It's the EPL show. I'm going to talk about it at 11 a.m. on their YouTube channel. But I'm going to tell you guys, take Burnley team total corner overs. It's probably set at 5.5 right now. You make sure you shop your lines. And you take them -1 on the corner handicap. Burnley's hit at 75% at any number up to 7.5 corners. So yes, ladders available. And they've won over 80% of the corner handicaps. If it's -1, obviously, and they only win by 1, it's a push. But why would you not take that at plus money versus taking them just to win at -160? It's called a little free hit there. So if they win by 2 or more, you're getting plus money as opposed to laying the juice at -160.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. At Mr. Brad Thomas, at Shander Show. Thanks to Straight, as always, for making this thing look beautiful. Hopefully, Edith, we got to you there. I saw you responded as far as, trying to make a buck, asking where you should be getting stats for any athlete, place to start. Look, I would suggest if you start following Go Boys, start following people on OddsShopper, you'll see Brad mentioned props.cash, oddshopper.com. You'll see goalboys.com. You'll see analysis, and you'll see where people are. A lot of us are transparent, right? As far as where we get stuff, there's no need to hide anything like that, unless it's like some belligerent narrative. But, follow that at your own risk, by all means. But again, and yes, Jay Miz, I agree. Philly is a mess. All I'm doing with Pollard out there is playing volume of games. That's it. So don't go crazy there thinking I'm trying to turn him back into Emmitt Smith. That ain't happening. Brad, appreciate you. Appreciate Mama Smith for jumping in as well. Mama Thomas, sorry. Jeez. I was going to say my brother-in-law, who's Smith, she jumped in, and we called her Mama Smith. She jumped in to my live show last week, and everybody was like, oh, Mrs. Smith. And then it just morphed into Mama Smith somehow. And everybody now on that show is like in the chat asking for her instead of any questions or anything at all for me. So I've kind of been Wally pipped, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Next time I'm going to tell her she have to give a pick if she's going to jump in.
Awesome. Brad, appreciate you, brother. Thanks to everybody out there.